Good evening. Solid tank in the house. Turn the lights off. We're just chilling on a Friday night. Trying to do anything to forget about the stock market, if you know what I'm saying. And I think you do. So I don't figure. What's up, ACDC? Oh, shit. My Craig Gass impression. I don't know what you're talking about. That wasn't me. I mean, I don't really know what Jeff Garland sounds like. So, I mean, I had a rough 2 days. I'll just say that. But, luckily I have some backup plans if it gets really bad. But hopefully we never see those backup plans. Because do you think Terrence Howard? I'm not following Terrence Howard lately. Oh yeah, I've had Craig on my podcast. If you look up Craig Gass, Inappropriate Earl, I forget what episode it was. It was a fairly early one. Yeah, Ovechkin is, and he's got. If he does it, whenever the next game is, they will play the exact number of games. And I thought he did something pretty classy. They offered for him to go out when it was an empty netter, and he didn't want to do it. Oh yeah, 100%. It's Jeff Garland. Look, I don't even know what Jeff sounds like. I'm not really around him. I can't recall ever talking to him. Because like when he's at the Comedy Store, for whatever reason, the Comedy Store isn't allowed to put his name on the marquee. Like he wants to be on the DL. And it's just like, come on, man. I mean, I know you're pretty famous, but like, come on. I mean, he's definitely up there for sure. I mean, the scary thing about Mario Lemieux is what stats could he have put up with the teammates Gretzky had? I mean, when you look at the Edmonton Oilers of the 80s, they were kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 70s. What up, Lawrence? I mean, you've got Yari Curry, arguably the greatest right winger of all time. I mean, it's arguable. There's other choices. You've got Glenn Anderson, one of the great left wingers of all time. I mean, people kind of forget how good Glenn Anderson was. You got Mark Messier, who is probably the best all-around player to ever play the game. He didn't put up the offensive numbers Lemieux and Gretzky did, but like he also would scare the shit out of you, which, I think is important. You got Paul Coffey. I'm not going to put Coffey in Bobby Orr status, but he's up there. Didn't he have like 139 points one year? You got Grant Fuhrer, probably the greatest money goaltender of all time. It would have been awesome to see Lemieux with that supporting cast instead of Warren Young, Jay Caulfield, and Gary Rissling. Jeff Garland on Comedy Store podcast with Rick is the best. Yeah, I mean, I've never listened to an episode of the Comedy Store podcast, even the ones I'm on. Does anyone have a lifetime ban from the Comedy Store? I mean, not really. I mean, I know as long as Emily is there, Dalia is not welcome. I don't think Brian Callen's welcome there. I think Eddie Griffin actually might have a lifetime ban, but he doesn't play there anymore anyway, so it's really not a big deal. And then there was a Boston comic. I don't even want to say his name. He's such a piece of shit. He's been banned there 3 times, and he was nothing more than an open micer who roast battled, but he had multiple allegations, and I've never seen anyone get banned there, kicked out 3 times. I remember when Punky Johnson got, not passed, but got hired on SNL. We took a big group photo outside the marquee, and this guy snuck his way in And Curtis, the manager at the time, literally blacked his face out of the picture. Jeff Garcia, Ari Spears. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, in all my years of um, going to the Comedy Store, I don't think I've ever seen Jeff Garcia there once. He does a lot of the Latino rooms, not even necessarily clubs, but like nightclubs, and he kills. He probably gets a door deal. He kind of does it Stanhope style, where I think he gets a door deal. I've never seen Ari Spears there either. Thoughts on the new Naked Gun movie? I haven't really heard much about it. I mean, you're never going to get the original charm of the first movie. I mean, listen, O.J. Simpson's a double murderer, but he was pretty funny. Gina Bobina in the house. All I don't even know who's in it. So is it on YouTube? I'm assuming. I'm assuming if I just pumped in Naked Gun trailer, it'll come out. It's like the RoboCop remake. It just which hockey, it just lacked the charm of the original. The remake of Bad News Bears lacked the charm. I mean, as much as I love Sandler, there was just something flat about His Longest Yard. Um, which hockey player would make a good biopic? I mean, see, I go to which hockey player's biography would make the most money, to non-hockey fans. Because hockey movies in general don't do well at the box office because it's a niche subject. But I mean, Probert might be interesting, but where do you go with it? I mean, yeah, he was a tough. Link Gates would be kind of he's not as well known as Probert, but the guy literally played, I think, on like 30 plus teams. Got kicked out of every league, every team he played on. But what's the catch at the end of the movie? Um, I think Val James would be a good movie. The first, Willie O'Ree gets um, the credit for being the first African American to play in the NHL, but Val James was the first African American to play, and he was a tough guy. Like, you imagine being in basically an all white sport in the '80s, and um, you're this huge hulking black guy beating the shit out of white people. We all know what he heard from the stands. But once again, what's the payoff at the end of the movie? Same thing with Sanderson. I mean, great player, a drunk, but there really wasn't like some bizarre ending to his life. I mean, Avery, once again though, what's the ending? Why do you watch an hour and a half movie on Sean Avery? And he's a great story, the pussy, the modeling, uh, but you'd really have to. Um, like, to me, when I think of, okay, what athlete would I want to see a movie made about? It's Ron Lyle, the boxer from the 70s. Yeah, 100% Moses. That movie about me liking hockey so much. Uh, Ron Lyle was in prison for 7.5 years for murder. He gets out of prison. He almost beats George Foreman. He almost beats Muhammad Ali. And then I think working as a security guard in Vegas after his career was over, I think he killed another person. Now, once again, what's the end of the movie? Like, there has to be something that ties it up into a bow. I don't know what that would be. Um, I mean, I'm trying to think if there was any gay players. I mean, there's been gay players in the NHL. I mean, in fact, that's the long rumored urban legend of Paul Eisebart when he played on the Red Wings, and Steve Yzerman wanted him off the team allegedly because he was gay. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know. I mean, Derek Bugard would be an interesting story. Just almost along the lines of Probert, but the unfortunate ending. sadly for a movie is good. Um, so 100% Moses. Write the movie. I mean, yeah, I don't think we need another Aaron Hernandez movie. I believe he only got 7.5 years because it was self-defense, and I also believe the second murder was. I mean, I have. Let me see here. Let me turn the lights on for a second. Um, I have his book right here. Off the ropes. So there. The problem is, Jesus, look at how fucking tiny this print is. I mean, I would go blind reading that. But I think that, since there's kind of a book about, you could adapt the get the Earl. You could adapt the book into a movie, maybe. I mean, just a fascinating life. If they did a movie about Hurricane Carter, I'm sure that you could also do a movie about Ron Lyle. What up, Ron? We're just talking. Someone asked me in the stream what athlete would have a good biography movie, what hockey player, and then I thought, well, I think the Ron Lyle story, I think, would be a good one. But that's also, his prime was 50 years ago, mid 70s. So I don't, unfortunately, if I brought this idea into any studio, it would be like, okay, who the fuck is Ron Lyle to a 20-year-old? Need a Buscemi movie. Huh? I don't know who would play Mike Buscemi in the movie. As big as my head is, he might have a bigger head than I do. And I love Buscemi. Lois is sleeping, and she's about due for her walk, but I won't wake her up until Yeah, Ryan Leaf, I don't know. It's, unfortunately, I mean, fortunately for him, he's gotten his life back together, but I just don't know what the end of the movie would be. There's got to be a hook or a payoff. Um, maybe Todd Marinovich would be an interesting biography, but as a Hollywood executive, if someone's pitching me all these movies we're talking about, I say, okay, what's the end of the movie? Describe me the end scene of this movie. Like, with Ron Lyle, maybe it's the second murder in Vegas as a security guard, but I mean, I disagree with you, Mickey, that it's a much more compelling story. I mean, and I'm certainly a Jimmy Young fan. Um, I remember watching that fight you speak of. I just think that, I mean, it's crazy that we're talking about Ron Lyle. I mean, like, put it this way, there's no books written about Jimmy Young. But, uh, yeah, I love Lois too. Um, it's crazy that Ron Lyle killed two people. And he was let out of prison after the first one and fought for the heavyweight championship of the world. And, the George Foreman fight is probably his most famous fight because it was just like literally watching a rock and sock 'em robots movie. And there's so many funny things about that fight. Like the second round was only 2 minutes. Like you would never have that happen today. But like, for whatever reason, the fight was so good and so like um, wild that they just cut a minute out of the second round. And the commentary with Howard Cosell and Ken Norton, where Cosell is literally trolling Ken Norton. Like at one point, George Foreman hits Lyle with like a huge shot, and Lyle didn't fucking move. and Norton was, or Cosell goes to Norton. Hey, Kenny, didn't George break your jaw with a punch like that? Like totally trolling him. Do you think Florida will win tomorrow? In what? Buster Douglas would be a good movie. I have a Buster Douglas boxing glove right over there that Chandler got me. Speak of the devil. Um, oh, I absolutely. There were some horrible decisions in the heavyweight boxing world. I mean, I still think the first Leon Spinks Ali fight was a fix, so they could make huge money on the rematch. Um, Buster Douglas would. It's a great story, like beating Tyson. Kind of a sad drop off when he fucking Holyfield killed him. I don't think you could end the movie like that. So what's? I mean, I guess the story is. I mean, if I'm looking at a Buster Douglas movie, starts out dirt poor child, rising heavyweight, goes up the ranks. Tyson wasn't even supposed to fight Buster Douglas that fight. He was like a warm up fight for I think Holyfield eventually, and then he beats Tyson. Basically it's almost like a black Rocky, but unlike Rocky in the sequel, he doesn't beat Apollo Creed, i.e. Holyfield. He gets killed, and then maybe the end of the movie is him teaching kids in Ohio boxing. Um, I don't know. I mean, I could sales pitch that to someone. I mean, that would be a movie that probably could get made if you had like a huge star attached to it. No, Chandler is not asleep. I just don't know what you mean by Florida. Chandler doesn't understand the question. I don't understand the question, but I did get Earl that Buster Douglas boxing glove. Hee 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 hee. So doesn't Sylvester Stallone not own? I mean, yeah, I mean Wes Craven didn't own the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Isn't that fucking nuts? That's why he made Shocker. He was like, "Fuck you guys! I'll just make my own. I'll make my franchise. I'll just make another franchise." Yeah, if he dies, he dies. Um, I don't think Chandler follows basketball, so I'm not sure. Um, I mean, Sonny Liston would be a good movie, but like, kind of again, what's the payoff at the end? Like the payoff at the end of Predator is Schwarzenegger destroys the Predator. What's the payoff at all these movies? Earl, not sure where you're at, but schooled you are. How about some research docs on these famous fights that have a definite backstory? Oh, now documentaries is a different story. Uh, you know, I'm in Los Angeles, California. I think um, like a Ron Lyle Netflix documentary is very doable. Um, I mean, it's just crazy to me that he killed two people and fought for the heavyweight title. And in the Ali fight, he was up on all cards. I think it went 12 rounds, and he just got tired. He didn't have great stamina. I mean, he was a fucking beast. They say Ron Lyle got his body by doing 1,000 push-ups a day in prison. And it's one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite fight stare off when George Foreman. Now we're talking a prime George Foreman. I think their fight was a year after the Zaire fight with Ali Foreman. We're talking a prime George Foreman, and George Foreman could just stare at you, and you were intimidated to shit. And Ron Lyle's just in his face, and you could tell Ron Lyle was like, "Bro, I've been in prison the last 7 years. You ain't shit to what I saw." And the bell rings, and Lyle just leaps at Foreman and tries to kill him with a punch that, if it would have landed, Foreman would still be in the ground. Well, he's in the ground now, but you know what I'm saying. Um, I mean, there's been a documentary about Tommy Morrison. I think it was a 30 for 30 that was really good. Um, I mean, yeah, Tommy Morrison would be a good Netflix documentary. I mean, I don't know. if Netflix or whoever has interest in kind of basically remaking an old 30 for 30, I mean, I think a Tex Cobb documentary, not a movie, but a documentary would be fascinating on him. You could, because he had a wild career as a boxer. Not only was he was probably a better kickboxer than he was a boxer. So you could kind of delve into the kickboxing career. I forget that he was like the Mike Tyson of kickboxing, Johnson, something Johnson, and him and Cobb had a good rivalry. And then you could obviously get into the Hollywood movies. And Tex Cobb graduated from Temple, so he's not a dummy. And what would be great about a Tex Cobb documentary would be all the people you could interview, like Larry Holmes. Talk about, I mean, obviously you're not going to get Gene Hackman anymore, but all the movies he was in. Maybe Nicolas Cage would have a funny story, and I mean, Rutger Hauer's not available, but you could get people from Hollywood involved. Yeah, Lyle Alzado would be a great movie. Kimbo Slicer's been a few documentaries on him already. Uh, so I mean, if Tex Cobb doesn't have CTE, that's amazing. I mean, his basically strategy was a rope a dope, but with headshots. Like Ali, it was like, hey, hit me in the body, hit me, try and hit me in the head. Cobb was like, hit me in the head all you want. I'm not going down, bro. You could probably interview with Tex Cobb, Don Johnson, because he was in an episode of Miami Vice. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe button, please. Yeah, I mean, people love violence. What up, Eddie? DB Cooper. Does Ali still fight? I don't think so. What happened to the Hulk Hogan movie with the guy from? I don't know. I mean, probably they realized that it's not going to be a profitable movie with all the racist stuff in Hogan's background. I don't think. No, Larry Holmes is still alive, I believe. Um, I mean, but Tex Cobb, I mean, yeah, he's got that. But he graduated from Temple, so like he's not. But I've tried to get him for my podcast. Like I would start doing my podcast regularly, and I would start with a Tex Cobb episode. And my friend is a federal judge, and he can't find him. Like, there's rumors that he lives in and around the Philadelphia area, which checks out because of Temple University. I know he was born in Abilene, Texas, so he might be in Texas again. But the rumor, it's kind of like an urban legend, was that Ali was supposed to fight Tex Cobb, and like a couple weeks or months, I'm not sure which. Tex Cobb saved some sports reporter in a bar fight and broke his arm, so they never made the fight. Um, so um, no, Ali's dead. Um, so I mean, the problem with doing a documentary on 70s and 80s boxers is a lot of them are dead, and a lot of the people they fought are dead. So, like with Tex Cobb, he had a great fight with Ernie Shavers, but Ernie Shavers is no longer with us. I mean, really, his most famous fight was Larry. John Jackson was the kickboxer, not Johnson. I'm not sure if John Jackson's alive. Not that he would bring that many more eyes to the documentary, but that would absolutely be um, you could interview him if he is alive, and um, it. But you're gonna have to move on some of these 70s and 80s boxers if you're going to. Eddie Money, yeah, that's a good documentary. Um, Larry Holmes is the last great living heavyweight from his era. Yeah, I mean, Mickey, Earl, your knowledge and insight on this is rare. Seems to be a step beyond the surface. Think about producing some content on. Yeah, I mean, it's not even my knowledge of it, Mickey. I just have an insane memory. I've talked about it before. It's that disease Mary Lou Henner has, where you can go up to Mary Lou Henner and go September 17th, 1983, and she could not, with even thinking of it, going, I was at the Kiss Lick It Up tour. I was with my friend John. He was wearing a black T-shirt and blue jeans. I was wearing a blouse. He had Drakkar Noir on as like. I'm not quite on that level, but like I remember watching Jimmy Young fight. John Tate was another heavyweight boxer who, he never reached great heights. And then, I always felt bad for Larry Holmes because he just didn't have that one opponent. Like Ali had Frazier and Foreman. Tyson had Holyfield and Buster Douglas. You know, hell, I even liked his two fights with Razor Ruddock. But what might be interesting is what happened to all the guys Tyson beat up. That would be kind of a cool documentary to interview all these guys. I'm talking the prime Tyson. So you interview Frank Bruno. We young kids today know Mike Tyson's kind of being a fuck up, the tattoos on his face, but interview Michael Spinks and you know Trevor Burbick and Razor Ruddock. Because most of these guys are still alive. Mike Weaver. Um, well, Sandusky did teach those kids how to tackle. Uh, yeah, I mean, I would say I'm borderline autistic, but it's also um, I have a insane memory. Like not quite on the level of Mary Lou Henner. Like if you said to me, October 5th, 1985, I couldn't tell you what I was doing, but I could guess. She literally, and she says the crazy thing about the disease is that it drives her insane because nothing leaves her head. Like so, in her brain, she's got to be 10 years older than me. So I'll say 65 years. She might even be 70 of memories that don't leave. So, Earl, you're talking about shit that you may take for granted, but 99% of the boxing fan doesn't know. There's a market. I mean, I think there's a market for, like with this new manager I've signed with, obviously I got to work on my stand up, but, um, you know, projects first. But, like, if I ever had a meeting with someone from Netflix, I would pitch them a documentary on Ron Lyle or Eddie Nash, the nightclub owner. Um, I mean, when you look at the success of shit like Tiger King and other documentaries, I do think that. And the great thing about the Eddie Nash documentary is there's been documentaries on John Holmes and I know Michael Connolly basically did a 4-part series on the MGM network. He's created Bosch. Um, that delved into Eddie Nash a fair amount, but I think a standalone documentary on Eddie Nash would do very well on Netflix. Just call it The Nash. And because I remember, I don't want to blow this guy's cover, but I was talking once. Um, that's probably Predator, the movie Predator, Night Moves. I remember once talking to someone who had played the Starwood, and this won't be too hard to guess because it was only an audio only podcast of Inappropriate Earl. And I brought up Eddie Nash. I said, "Hey man, you must have some killer Eddie Nash stories." And he just went like this, and he turned white. So I mean, just Nash and all the nightclubs he owned from the Starwood, which, Blondie and Billy Idol and Van Halen and Quiet Riot and Motley Crue played, and, um, to the gay club he owned, to the underage club he owned, to I think where Kimmel is filmed now, he owned that club. I think it was called the Seven Seas. I might be off on that, but um, yeah, I mean, she just can remember everything. Like I can remember most. I don't know about that Moses. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, Mary Lou Henner, great in the movie Perfect. So, I mean, there's some fascinating documentaries I would bring to the table, but I'm more of an idea guy. Like, so I would need definitely someone to help me write the documentary. But with Nash, it's just like you have so many different worlds colliding. You have Hollywood actors. You have some of the biggest rock bands in the world played the Starwood. You had, the porn element with John Holmes, and you had the drug element, the sex element, stories about like how he would take a dump and knowing girls wanted the cocaine, he was such a sick freak that he wouldn't wipe his ass after going number two. He would tell a girl, "You want that coke? You can have all of it, but you got to lick my ass clean." Like cool stories like that. I mean, what a great guy to talk to at parties. Hello. So at the Hurt Syndicate, I'm a member of the Hurt Syndicate. Um, MLH has higher than photograph. It's called highly superior autobiographical memory. Who's MLH? Mary Lou Henner, right? Oh, sorry. Um, yeah, I mean, she's one step above. Um, like I have a photographic memory. Like if you could, women fighting with partner outside the bar outside down the street from me. I almost want to take the camera and go, but Lois don't like that energy. Um, like I have a photographic memory. Like if you were to ask me, um, go over your roast battles with us right now, I would have like little visuals. It would be like a movie is playing in my brain right now. And here's Sarah Tiana, here I am, and I see the battle happening again in my head. It's not necessarily what Mary Lou Henner has, but it's on that level. Well, now that I have a manager who can on the Fox show. Oh, the Gutfeld. It's a little harder to get into than I thought, but with the person I signed with, it shouldn't. I think I'll be on Gutfeld within the next 2 months. But you don't know; it could be next week. I mean, he could make a call and go because of who this guy's other clients are. I don't want to. I can't say who, but they're big names. The game where well, maybe if we put this guy on, we'll get this guy on or girl. So. Uh, I mean, I've met so many people over the years. I mean, I've been doing comedy 25 years, so I'm not going to lie and say I would remember every fan I've met. But if they came at me with a specific, "Hey, I met you in Edmonton on a Saturday night, the Late Show," it would jog my memory. So, um, yeah, I mean, imagine. Well, I mean, I had. It's funny. My photographic memory clicked in with the girl who accused me of hitting her because we only dated for about a year. So, we didn't really have 1,000 memories. So I remembered every date. I remember. So when she said I threw her down a flight of stairs, like my brain started going, okay. And I just every memory of her and I together clicked, and it's like, could she confuse one night with maybe we were walking, like one time we did a roast battle at the Hammer Museum. I was judging, she was doing it, and I remember we walked up a big marble flight of stairs to get to the showroom, and I thought, did I fall or start to fall and grab her, and maybe she took that as me trying to throw her down the stairs. Like I remembered every date we went on. And it helped that we went to a lot of the same places. But what up, Ghost? I don't believe. Oh, that would be if we want to get into that. That would be May of 2022. Um, I love having a photographic memory. It's like when I would have a test where it wasn't so much a skill set of how to do math, but like history. I always did well in history. Um, so what up? Hello, let's be friend. Earl Skakel in the house. Hold on, I'm getting a text right now. I don't think you ever left that I must answer. Um, uh, who's texting us at that time? It's an old waitress from the Comedy Store. I think her band is playing at the Viper Room right now, which, I need more notice. You can't text me at, what is it, 12:04 and go, hey, my band's playing up the street. Well, I'm doing a YouTube stream right now. Um, I don't take orders. Hello, let's be friends. This is my stream. And now hit the like and subscribe button. Um, we'll go to 45 minutes, kids. 45 minutes. Well, I mean, comedy is easy for me from the standpoint of I have thousands of jokes and they're all in my head. And I'm a very visual person. So, what up, Furbo, my Italian friend? So, if I see a girl with big tits in the front row, you know, it brings me back to knowing, my friend Dr. Fisher, who did all the enhancement surgeries for the Playmates. So, I'll do a story about him. If I see a huge black guy, I'll delve into all the huge black guy stories I have. If I see a guy wearing a Raiders hat, I just like, I'm a very visual person. Because a lot of people ask me, do you go on stage with a set list? Now, when I tell them the special, whatever that is, I'm going to have a set list. But usually I have just all my jokes at the tip of my tongue, and whatever I see in front of me, I get into. I don't know if I'm the Jay-Z of comedy, because Jay-Z makes the money, honey. So I do get it, Jenna. I do get it. And Friday night, you never know who could be texting me. No, I never forget jokes. Now, the one time I forgot a joke was when I was on TV roast battling Jimmy Carr. And, I'm friends with Jimmy, but, I roast battle, it ain't compliment battle. You got to say mean shit about people. And, I didn't really know Jimmy, but I had a lot of comics from the UK. Okay, hey, here's he has problems with his father. So, him and his father, I guess, have a strained relationship. So I came up with a joke about Jimmy Carr's in great shape. I guess all those years of running from your father helped. But I forgot the first part, which was explaining they don't talk to each other anymore. So the punchline doesn't really make sense. But I was so fucking nervous, to be honest with you, I just forgot the first part. That's really the only time I can remember forgetting a joke. Hello, Tommy S. Hello. I mean, I've been doing comedy for so long. I don't, and you've also told a lot of your good jokes hundreds of times. So I've got great. I don't know if I would say muscle memory, but I've got a great recall of jokes. So, well, I mean, I did have one joke against Jimmy that bombed, but I had a great save line. So I do the joke, doesn't really get a laugh. And I just paused for a second and I was like, fuck. And that got the crowd back like that. So, yeah, I mean, Jimmy's an assassin. But you know what? So am I. Yeah, that's where my memory disease. I don't know why my eye's itching. I think I got some moisturizer in my eye. That's why whatever memory disease I have, definitely joke theft. People don't care about sexual assault. It's really sad. I mean, there's one person in the roast battle community. We all know he fucked a 16-year-old. Nobody cares. He still works, still gets writing gigs. Like, nobody cares. But if he stole someone's joke, there'd be a fucking outrage. So, And then I get told to be quiet because I'm actually a decent fucking person. Well, I mean, that's the perfect, example of Brian Callen as an alleged assault. I personally believe the girl, but he's still on podcast. He's moving to fucking Austin. He'll get plenty of stage time there. So, I mean, look at D'Elia. D'Elia was accused of what he was accused of. He sells out fucking theaters. But if Chris D'Elia stole a joke, it'd be a huge outrage. So, you know, I haven't talked to D'Elia in a few years, but yeah, we were good comedy friends. I mean, we never hung out outside of comedy, but he was always nice to me and stuff. But it's I think we spoke maybe a little bit after the pandemic, but um, well, not really, because the letter of the law in New York at the time he was dating Shoshana was 17 was legal. So now, if he fucked her at 16, I don't know if he did. I don't believe he did. I think they met when she was a senior in high school, and in New York, that by the letter of the law, um, he did not break a law. But when you're 22 years old and you fuck a 16-year-old in Los Angeles, that's statutory rape. It's literally the legal definition of it. And he's still allowed. That guy is still allowed to perform, and um, yeah, just the way it is. Nobody cares. Guys, I got to pee real fast, so time out. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Lois is passed out. Uh, you heard my toilet? I don't think so. My toilet's upstairs. Yeah, I don't do the Jim Stansel stuff in here. Uh, Melton was immediately on your ass. What are you talking about? Oh, Mickey, that's not. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Sensitive or not, but was there anyone in the family? I mean, I kind of inherited my mom's uh, sense of humor along with my dad. My dad was very dry and sarcastic. My mom was kind of like, I don't give a fuck type of, she's a hillbilly from Georgia with money, so she didn't look up to anybody. Because in her mind, it's like, I got money too, bitch. So, okay, you guys are talking about Melton. I mean, I'm going to assume my mom and dad. Yeah, I don't mind being compared to Stephen Wright. I mean, he's one of the greats. So, well, I mean, my parents, like, I inherited my body from my parents. Like, my upper body is kind of lanky. It's not overly muscular. That's how my dad was built, and my lower body. I've said this before. They call me Baby Tom Platz when I was younger. That I got from my mom. Um, no, thank you, Lawrence Lyons. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of ballsy how Brennan talked to that cop. I mean, I've not been pulled over that many times in my life, but every time, man, I was scared shitless. Yes, sir, no, sir. I never, I'd have my hands on the steering wheel. Hey, can I see your driver's license? Can I put my hand in my right pocket? And, I would like, um, I was very respectful. What up, pure blood? Was your I mean, I would leg extension. I would max the whole machine. What if so? I don't know what that was. 250 pounds. My max squat was probably somewhere in the 650 area. And keep in mind, I was really squatting heavy with one ACL, but I just didn't know it. Yes, that's a Skakel classic, Kathy. Um, so are you sure about that? About what? Yeah, I mean that's probably my best getting pulled over story. Me and Rob were playing. Was it not the Punchline Cobb's in San Francisco? And Rob's wife, they had just had a baby, and Rob's wife was kind of like, "Hey, you got to stay with me and take care of this fucking situation." And Rob's, I think, agent was like, "You can't cancel on Cobb's, man. I mean, it's about 100 grand for the weekend or whatever it was." And so we do the gigs, and on what was it? I mean, Rob sells out everywhere. It's 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, 1 show Sunday, and Rob's like, "Dude, you drive this car as fast as you fucking can." It was a Dodge Magnum, so those are about 500 horsepower. Um, so of course we get pulled over because I'm probably going, I don't know, 120, which in a Dodge Magnum feels like you're going 10 miles an hour. And this cop was pissed. I mean, I think if you're driving over 115, they can arrest you. Or there's some, maybe it's 105, and the cop puts his face in the window. He's about to lay into me, and he sees Rob and goes, "Hey, Mr. Schneider, I just want to make sure you guys weren't lost." So yes, traveling with Rob Schneider does have benefits. There was also another time, I think we were in the Tampa airport. We were trying to get to Jacksonville. There was a huge storm coming in, so they shut down the airport. But Rob somehow finagled me and Jeff Richards and him into first class on the last flight of the night. So it um definitely helps to travel with Rob Schneider. Rob's good to me, so I like him. Um, if you didn't do comedy, what would your dream job be? I mean, well, comedy is really all I'm good at. So, but if I couldn't do that for whatever reason, I wouldn't mind being a nightclub owner. Like I'm a night owl, so staying up till 5 or 6 a.m. is nothing to me. So, I mean, those are my peak hours. So, oh shit, Mickey Bitsko, $10. Earl appreciated. Always a good stream. Well, thank you. Is it Mickey or Mikey? Yeah, Mickey. It's Mickey. Thank you very much for the tip, as William Zoom would say. And be on the lookout for some of these ideas we've come up with. Um, there's other ideas I have in my head. Um, I've never met Jerry Seinfeld. I did watch him go up one night in the original room. Mitzi told him he wasn't funny, so like he never did the Comedy Store. And he had a great opening line. He's like, "It's great to play a club where I was told I wasn't funny." And um, Yes, that's anyone who super chats me gets the ray gun. Um, so it's just a little something to differentiate me from all the other thousands of streamers out there. Um, yeah, Mitzi didn't like him. That's crazy. I mean, he's one of the greatest comics of all time, and that's so. Like when I hear a troll or whoever say I'm not funny, it's like, well, Seinfeld was told he wasn't funny, but so that's well, most comics don't have a soul. Most comics sell out at the drop of a hat. Trust me on that one. Um, so copy Chad more, ball washer. No, I'm good on that. I mean, listen, Chad, he's found his niche. But there's Mitzi did not pass me. I was actually the first person passed by Adam Egant. Myself and my friend Candace Thompson were passed by Adam, and the rest is history. Johnny Yoon, Jesus, that's a that Peter Chicken Man Brennan. Is that you as Furbo? I mean, I know. I mean, I actually used to work out at the same gym as Johnny Yoon. He's all right, I guess. Not one of my favorites, but I mean, I think the funniest comics are the most fucked up. Um, but I think comedy's too subjective for a Hall of Fame. Like it would be so hard to get people to agree on like if you had um, like say Stephen Wright was up for induction, but you don't like dry and sarcastic jokes, you'd never pass him. He's like, oh, he's boring. He just stands there and does jokes. And whether you like Dane Cook or not, I mean, he did a lot of things that a lot of comics would kill to say they sold out Madison Square Garden. But if you don't like high energy act out style comedy, you'd be like, So that would be a tough one. I never got into Patrice O'Neill, and everyone loves the guy. I just, that's one where I just I'm like, okay, he's funny, but I don't get the idol worship. But that's it's all subjective. I loved Red Fox. Hello. So that's what I mean by I mean, if you ask most comics of the last 20 to 30 years, they would say Patrice O'Neill is one of the all-time greats. And he's funny, but like, I don't know. So I can only imagine what people say about me. Well, I don't know if I'm one of the great all-time greats, but I'll put it this way, at least in the LA comedy scene, if you bring up my name, most people are fans of me. Um, well, no, I mean, like, Patrice was kind of a bully, and I don't like bullies. So me and him probably would not have got. Either would have hated each other or gotten along fabulously. Because if he said something out of pocket to me, I'd say something right back. 'Cause I got no remorse. So, well, I don't know about that, but thank you. Um, I love Keenan Ivory Wyatt. He's fucking funny. Well, thank you, Pure Blood. Um, but see, I can't comment on that, Mickey, because I didn't listen to Opie and Anthony. So, um, well, I just don't like bullies, which is why I kind of liked doing roast battle. Like it wasn't my style of humor, but there were a couple LA bullies. I'm like, okay, you guys want to bully? Well, let's do it live in front of our friends and let's see who's better. Because I have a switch that when it's hit, I can be a dick. It doesn't happen, but ask Jeff Ross. Like he hit that switch, and it's been pressed ever since. Earl, you ever see where Chevy Chase was acting like an employee on SNL? Yo, that's one of the great. That's probably the best sketch ever in SNL history. Well, I'm not going to say he was overrated, but I will say that like I don't get the Stanhope idol. I like Stanhope, but he's idolized by a lot of people. Um, and I think a lot of Patrice's um, genius was playing off of each other. Playing off of Opie and Anthony, playing off of Jim Norton. Do you like Joe Rogan comedy, or is he overrated? I mean, I think people don't like Joe because he's so Joe's like Kiss. He's gotten so big that it's always popular to hate the most popular comic. Um, I think he's funny to his fan base, which is very big. I mean, you don't fill arenas and aren't funny. So, it's like, I mean, I certainly don't fill arenas, but I'm funny to my fan base. Here's how comedy works in a nutshell. Because you guys will all watch MLC. Um, when did I go on MLC? 2 weeks ago with Florentine and Chad and Kevin? And the general consensus was I killed it on MLC 2 weeks ago. But I saw one guy's comment, Earl sucks. He talks too much. And if you go back and watch that episode, I guess you'd have to be on Kevin's Patreon. I barely said a fucking word. Like I would get my snipes in and then I'd be quiet because I don't want to interrupt Kevin or Jim or Chad. So the fact that this one guy in his mind, I talk too much. So I'm not a fan of Trevor Noah. Is Leslie Jones stand up funny? I mean, listen, it's funny to her fans. EA Sports, it's in the game. Um, I mean, she has a presence. Listen, whether you like Leslie or not, she walks onto the stage, it's her. Like I walk on the stage, I'm like, is that Johnny Knoxville or is this guy? Is he a skateboarder? Is he a fucking rock and roller? Like when Leslie walks on a stage, and that's something you can't buy. And we don't get along, so it's not like I'm sucking up to her. Um, I love Adam Carolla. Um, when he was bombing on the what was it the Alec Baldwin roast, I had to be there for Dr. Ken. He just went rogue and he's like, none of you people are fucking funny, especially the women. Like he was keeping it real. I thought Carolyn Ray was pretty funny on that. So um, yeah, I like Tough Crowd. That was good. I liked Early Politically Incorrect. Um, oh yeah, I don't watch Kill Tony, so I didn't miss anything. You can't miss something you don't watch. But I did a roast battle in New York when I was judging, and Voss was a judge. It was so funny to judge with him. Like, just, I can't really say what he was whispering to me, but we get along. And I love his wife, Bonnie. His wife, Bonnie, was the producer on the Shane Doan roast. So, right now, oh, I'm sorry. I think I missed your question, Al. Is Chappelle the GOAT? I mean, I would say the last 20 years. I mean, it's probably Chappelle, Chris Rock, Bill Burr. Um, I mean, I'm a big fan, and I have to give Chandler this. She got me into Bo Burnham. I like him. And then you get to that generation before that. I love Stephen Wright, Dice Clay. Dice doesn't get the credit. Dice is like Kiss, where he got so big, and he did it with no social media. Like Dane had help with MySpace and Instagram and Twitter, or not Instagram, but like, you know, Dice did it with no social media. So, I mean, I've never really seen Corolla stand up outside the Alec Baldwin roast, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not a fan of Cat Williams, but I'm not going to lie and say I'm a connoisseur of his material either, to be frank. We'll go another 5 minutes, guys. 65 minutes. I mean, Dice doesn't get the credit. Dice is like, like Warren DeMartini of Rat, who's probably one of the greatest guitar players from say the early 80s to now, but he never gets the credit because in most rat videos they look like fucking gay pirates. Whereas Dice is the same way, the leather outfits and the bombastic stage shows. But Dice is a great joke writer, man. I've seen him. I brought him up one night at the Comedy Store when I was hosting Potluck, and he did a pop in. And to see him without all the bells and whistles, he still has it. Um, yeah, I mean, if you don't like rude comedy, um, sorry, I think I got moisturizer in my eyes. The Dice and Kinnison, Robert Schimmel is another one who's one of the greats, but you never really. Nate Bargatze is a great guy. Um, so no, I just put moisturizer on right before I did the podcast. It's definitely something that I'm gonna have to splash my eyes with water. Um, but thank you. No gas leak in the Skakel household. So no spot tomorrow night at the Comedy Store. I'm a Todd Barry fan and Headbird because Stoner. Yeah, I mean Todd Barry's great. I did his crowd work show at the Comedy Central Festival and it was awesome. Um, but I mean, I think Dice definitely burned, some bridges back in the day. When he went on SNL, they said, "Listen, you do whatever you want, just don't swear." And telling Dice at that time not to swear, like, made him want to swear that much more. So, Brian Holtzman is great. I've done a lot of shows with Brian. Um, I mean, he ain't for everyone. Like, if you don't like rude and kind of graphic humor, you ain't gonna like Holtzman. His walkout videos are so funny, where he has someone ask people why they're leaving his show, and see, I don't get why Holtzman is the man was uncensored. Is Adam Sandler funny? I mean, you're not worth a couple $100 million and you're not funny. So, um, I mean, there's so many funny comics out there. Most of my funniest comic friends you'll never hear of. Jason Galern's super funny, but most of you, if not all of you, have never heard of him. So 2 more minutes, guys. We got 2 more minutes. Jewish people are very funny. Well, thank you. No problem. Thank you, Mickey, and thank you for the tip. Um, yeah, check out. You would love Brian Holtzman. Brendan Schaub is not funny. Nice guy, not funny. But he also, here's the thing where I will say this about Schaub. And this is gonna sound like I'm roasting him, but I'm really not. He's kind of got like that Jethro Bodine, Goober and Gomer like personality. So he's likable. But his problem was he tried to do actual jokes, and it's just not. He didn't work at that. He just kind of got on stage and winged it. Where what he should have done is just tell stories, kind of like what Steve O does. Like Steve O knows he's not funny, like in terms of a stand-up. So he tells wacky stories, and the stories inevitably are funny. Yeah, I've never heard of Miles Anderson, but he's probably never heard of me. Nate was brutally. What do you mean, Kip? Nate was brutal clean. I mean, Schaub just didn't put the work in. I mean, what Schaub did in the world of comedy is the equivalent of me showing up and going up to Dana White, going, "Hey, man, I've never really trained before, but I'd like to fight on the UFC card this weekend." You can't cheat in comedy. The frauds are always exposed. You have to put in the work. You just have to. I did see Moxley take that. That was a brutal suplex. Should be a rough pay-per-view this Sunday, Dynasty. Or is it? Yes, Dynasty is Sunday. Comedy is brutal, but the reason why I got so good so fast was I went up. My first 2 to 3 years in comedy, I would go up 3 times a night, 7 days a week. I mean, I was going up on average 25 to 30 times a week. You know, because there'd be nights where you could get up as many as 5 times a night. And even on a night where I would take off and go see like Kiss, I would literally go to the concert in St. Irvine at Irvine Meadows, which now are condos. And trust me, Kiss would play there still. And then I knew the last song would be Rock and Roll All Night. Now, the thing about Irvine Meadows is you had to park in the parking lot, and then you had to walk about a quarter of a mile to the amphitheater. So it was a long walk after the show. It just took forever to get out of there. So I would be at the exit aisle. I want to rock and roll all night. And I would fucking sprint to my car to be first out of the parking lot. And even on an off night, I would drive to, say, Van Nuys, which is about an hour with no traffic from Irvine, to get up at an open mic. I mean, I had a work ethic that was unmatched to this day. Um, but that's a funny story he could tell. Um, well, I mean, you know, his problem was he probably went on Reddit and looked at all the shit that's said about him. I don't go on Reddit at all. Fuck, I went on Reddit a few times, and because my buddy's like, "Hey, they're talking about you and Roast Battle. You should get on there." It's fucking brutal. It's just a bunch of losers who are just jealous I'm doing something I actually like doing. So yeah, that's all good, Al. So I mean, Kiss is, you know, well, I mean, the Kiss you've seen is, you know, they're in their 70s, but you know, a prime Kiss was pretty special to watch. They just had a hunger and a desire to make it. Um, yeah, I mean, I think in that group, what is it, Homeless Cats on Reddit? I mean, they're unmerciful on Shab. So, all right, you kids, that's going to be it. Friday night Earlverse is over. Hit the like and subscribe button on your way out. We'll do a stream tomorrow at some point. Earl Skakel, over and out.